What's up, guys? Welcome back to MMA Prophecies. Please hit that like and subscribe button for daily UFC predictions, fight tips, content, news, baby. Let's get into it. These are my predictions for Imavov versus Dolidze. These are going to be the first four fights. So I'm going to go over Natalia Silva versus Viviane Araujo, Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober, as well as Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. The other two guys, there's not much tape on there, so there's not really much to say. I don't want to make a prediction without having all the information. But let's get to it. Nasruddin Imavov is coming off a head clash versus Chris Curtis. Before that, he went 5 full rounds with Sean Strickland. He did lose most of those rounds, but ended up, showing some signs of life on that 5th round. But besides that, he's a stand-up striker. He has very good head movement for the most part. Right? He's very light on his feet for his size. He's 6'3" and 185 with a pretty good reach. He has 5 KOs, 4 submissions, 3 decisions. He's actually pretty well rounded. He just doesn't really go towards submission or wrestling anymore. Mainly relies on his striking, jab cross. He's going to have the major striking advantage versus Roman Dolidze. So Dolidze is going to have to take him down or try and pull guard, get him in a position where Roman can actually submit Imavov, because if this, or he's got to pressure him and really use his power, his heavy kicks, his heavy punches to really damage Nasruddin. And I believe that Roman Dolidze is going to have to fight a very, very, very well-rounded and well-executed fight, or else I think Nasruddin's going to piece him up on the feet. All right. That being said, Roman Dolidze is a very, very powerful, athletic submission artist. All right, he doesn't have, great stand-up. He's definitely still improving, as we can see with when he fought with Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori pieced him up pretty good on the feet. Although Roman Dolidze did get some really solid shots in that fight. Before that, he was getting pieced up by Jack Hermanson, but ended up getting him in a calf slicer and then ground and pounding him out. Same thing with Phil Haas. He got him in a knee, I think it was like a knee bar, or it was like an ankle lock or a heel hook. But anyways, he tweaked Phil Haas' leg. Phil Haas was pretty badly injured after that. And then Roman was able to just completely, beat the crap out of him. Before that, he beat Kyle Dawkins, not a huge, or impressive win. But before that, he did beat Lauren Staropoli. He lost to Trevin Giles, beat John Allen, beat Khabib Ibragimov. I don't even know who that is, honestly. But odds say Nasruddin Imavov is going to win this fight. He's about a -170 favorite. I do like Nasruddin Imavov in this fight because he needs to just basically avoid takedowns, which I think it's going to be easy for him to do. He has good takedown defense. He's going to have to stop the submissions and really worry about that. That's really the only thing I'm worried about when it comes to Roman Dolidze. I don't think Roman is going to be able to consistently hurt Imavov on the feet or threaten. I think in the first or second round, maybe Roman can have, get some heavy shots off if he gets really close and gets Nasruddin up against the fence. But I think, again, Roman's going to have to fight a perfect fight here. 5 rounds, we've seen him struggle and slow down after that first round many, many times because, again, he's really powerful, uses a lot of that muscle to try and, beat guys that way. I don't think he's experienced enough to be able to go 5 rounds with Nasruddin at this point. But it is a really good fight for him. I think this is going to be a really good test for him and a good matchup to show his skills and to show if he's actually really improved in that striking and cardio area. All right, so I'm going Nasruddin Imavov, you guys. All right, next fight, we have Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. Renato Moicano is a tough UFC vet. Very good submissions, very good pressure. Once he does get you up against the fence, he's really good at taking the back and choking guys out. I mean, he has 10 submissions that way. We've also seen his stand-up improve throughout his UFC career. And we definitely saw that in the few minutes we saw him fight Brad Riddell. But that was a couple years ago, which does worry me. How much has he improved since then? How much ring rust is he going to have? But I don't think he's going to have a ton of ring rust just because he's had so many UFC fights and has been training for so long. He's had really good experience versus some really good fighters like Rafael dos Anjos, Rafael Fiziev, Chan Sung Jun, Jose Aldo, Cub Swanson, Calvin Kattar, Brian Ortega. I mean, those are some big names, right? And that was about 6 years ago. He's still only 34, so I think he still has a lot left. We've seen guys at 155 pounds like Jim Miller continue to go a long time, and he's still trucking. But he's going to have a pretty good test in Drew Dober because Drew Dober has some hands on him. He's got a lot of power. Renato Canedo is definitely going to have the technical advantage, the reach, the wrestling advantage for sure, as well as the submission abilities is going to give him a pretty good advantage in that as well. But we've all seen Renato get hurt in plenty of fights before. He's gotten hurt versus Rafael dos Anjos. He got his butt whooped. He does take a lot of hits in his fights, right? But in the last 4 fights, we've seen him have a lot of durability and be able to take those punches and come back eventually to submit, 3 out of 4 of those guys. Even versus Rafael dos Anjos, he came back in that 5th round and beat the crap out of Rafael. And that kind of raised his stock a little bit because he took that fight on short notice. Versus Rafael dos Anjos, a short notice fight is like a war, man. I mean, Rafael has put guys through hell in 5-round fights. So I don't really fault him for getting beat up in that fight. It's just a tough fight, right? But again, Renato has shown he's gotten much improved in the striking. But will it be enough to beat Drew Dober, who's coming off a win versus Ricky Glenn? Before that, he did get knocked out, TKO'd by Matt Frivola. Before that, he beat up Bobby Green. He was losing that fight, but he ended up, using that power. When it comes to Drew Dober, I think his Muay Thai is pretty overrated. I think where his strengths are is constant pressure and eventually being able to get close to his opponents and get him up against the fence to land that one really hard knockout punch. And, we saw that with Bobby Green, right? We saw that versus Ricky Glenn. A lot of guys, he just takes a lot of hits at the beginning. Doesn't have good head movement, especially when he goes in for his punches and strikes. He gets hit a ton. I think Drew Dober is going to have to worry about a lot of things going to this fight. Renato's striking, his kicks, his combinations, his takedowns, his pressure, his cardio, getting him up against the fence, right? And I think Renato is going to have to worry about one thing. Don't get up against the fence. Don't get caught up against the fence and don't let Drew Dober land that knockout power punch. I think Renato is personally experienced enough and good enough and to be able to take Drew Dober at this point in his career. I think this is a little bit of a step down in competition, but I think it's a good matchup for him to get his feet wet again after being out for a couple years. I'm really, really curious to see how Renato has improved over these last couple years. He has a complete game, right? So I do like Renato going into this fight. He's a minus. Let's see here. What is Renato? I think he's a minus. What is he here? He's a minus 2-1. He's a 2-1 favorite, and I guess or close to that. Just because of his long layoff, I don't really like that. I wouldn't really take it, but I would say that this fight does not go the distance, and the odds for that, guys, is minus 300, I believe. I honestly don't even mind that. Minus 300. These guys have, barely gone the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Drew Dober's last fights have not gone the distance. only one of Hanato's fights in the last like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights have gone the distance. So I think either Hanato's going to choke out Drew Dober or Drew Dober is going to knock him out. So I'm going to say does not go the distance. This is not financial advice. All right, next card, or next fight. Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikov. All right, now let's see the odds here for Randy Brown. Let me just go to Bovada for you guys. I'm gonna look at the odds here. But I do like Randy Brown in this fight. I think he's going to have a very, very stylistic, advantage. Just because he's so long, he has really good cardio, and he does tend to get much stronger throughout the fight. And yeah, Randy Brown is a minus 270 favorite. That's pretty. If anything, there might be some value on Muslim. I don't think he's that much better than Muslim, but I think just stylistically it favors heavily in the Randy Brown corner. I do think this does go to the decision, right? And for this to go to the decision, let's see here. What is it to go to the decision here? Yeah, minus 135. I do like it. I might take that. But the reason why I think this is going to go decision, because Randy Brown, most of his fights have gone decision, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of his last 6 fights, 1, 2, 3, 4 fights have gone decision. And when he does win, he goes to decision, basically, right? And Randy Brown is a very, very tall, lanky fighter. He's 6'3", 170. He is a veteran at this point. Doesn't have great power, but his cardio is his biggest strength. His cardio, his activity, and his length. Plus, he's got good front kicks, front face kicks. He's got a good jab, good 1-2. For the most part, he's got a good chin. He did get pretty badly stalked by Jack Della Maddalena, but we all seen that Jack is a very, very tough fighter. But Randy Brown does really good versus guys who tend to wear down throughout the fight. Guys with a lot of power and tend to slow down and just can't keep up with Randy's cardio and length and speed. So I do think that Randy Brown is going to win this fight, and I'll explain the reasons why. Muslim Salikov, don't count him out. He's a tough dude. He's 39. He's been through plenty of wars. He's got a really good spinning back kick, spinning back hook kick. He's got some good power early in the fight, especially in that first round, because he stays really tight. He's got a good hook, and he's got good power. But he tends to wear down. He wears down a lot. He gets tired after that first and second round because I think age is a pretty big factor here. I think his style of fighting is a big factor because, again, he has a lot of power, so he tends to exert himself a lot in that first round. Nicholas Dalby is a tough dude, but I was not impressed with what I saw from Muslim in that fight. I mean, yeah, he got him. He hurt Nicholas a little bit in that first 30 seconds to a minute, but after that, Nicholas just put it on him. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight with Randy Brown. I think Randy Brown is still young, is still in his prime. I think Muslim is kind of on his way out. Plus, I think it's going to be really hard for Muslim to land his spinning back kicks, his spinning back punch, his spinning back fist, because Randy Brown's torso is so small. It's just going to be so hard to land that, right? He did not look good versus Andre Fialho. Yeah, he did knock him out, but Andre Fialho, we all know he's not even, he's 4 fight losing streak in the UFC. He hasn't looked impressive his last 4 fights. Jingliang Li knocked him out. He didn't look really good versus Jingliang. Versus Francisco Trinaldo, he didn't really look that great, right? So he's got some strength, he's got some decent wrestling, but I don't think it's going to be enough to put away Randy Brown. I think eventually Randy Brown is going to come away with this. I do think this goes to the decision. via Randy Brown. All right. Next fight. Viviane Araújo versus Natalia Silva. I'm really looking forward to this fight and seeing how Natalia Silva handles Viviane Araújo. Viviane is 37. You know, she's definitely declined, right, as she's aged. But she is very tough, and she is a UFC vet, like I just said. She's fought some of the best competition in that division, but she hasn't looked very good. One problem is her gas tank. That is her biggest problem. She tends to wear down after that first or second round. She's got some good takedowns here and there. Not the best takedown percentage or accuracy, because originally she's not really a takedown artist. She's mainly been standing on the feet and she's kind of well-rounded. But look at her last, oh my gosh, she's went to decision 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights. She's went to the decision. That is just a terrible sign. We see that happen when UFC fighters tend to get older and they tend to wear down. They just don't have the power or exertion to finish people. But they have had so much experience that they're very tough and are able to withstand a lot of their opponents' power and finishing abilities. So, Viviane Araújo, she's got some decent striking. Got a good jab early on the fight. Good Muay Thai stance. Decent kicks. We saw that versus Montana De La Rosa a while ago. But I think this is going to be such a hard fight for her. Natalia Silva is entering into her prime. She's got an extremely good Taekwondo style, but she's got the power to back it up, man. I mean, she's got some really good power. She's very athletic. She's got really good takedown defense herself. Plus, she knows how to get up. She's been in there with wrestlers, right? Victoria Leonardo, not the greatest fighter, but still a wrestler mainly. Jasmine, mainly a wrestler, right? Teresa, mainly a wrestler. Andrea Lee, not the greatest, but she did piece her up pretty good. But she's actually finished her last 2 of 4 UFC fights very impressively. This woman has not lost a round in the UFC. That is 20 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 20 rounds, winning 20 rounds straight. And she's got really good Taekwondo kicks, high kicks, body kicks. She knows how to fight her style and keep the fight where she's most comfortable. Very good footwork, right? Doesn't get hit a lot. I think I've only seen her get hit a few times. So she's really quick on her feet. Really good 1, 2, 3, right? Knows how to pace herself, has really good cardio, and is going to give a lot of trouble to Viviane Araújo in this fight, which is why she's going to be a minus 325 favorite. And I actually think Natalia Silva wins by decision, because we just saw that Viviane has gone to decision last 9 times. She's super tough. Natalia Silva wasn't able to take down Andrea Lee or Jasmine. I don't think she's going to be able to take out Viviane. Although if she does knock her out or finish her, it's going to be a huge win, and people are going to be watching Natalia Silva. I think she's going to be a contender. Honestly, I think she's looked the best out of anyone in that division. And this division is lacking, you guys. The top 2 fighters, Alexa Grasso, right? Kaylin Chookagian, right? I think Natalia Silva's better than Kaylin Chookagian. At least she's looked better. And then you got, of course, Valentina Shevchenko, who's obviously one of the best, if not the best. Although she did lose a very close decision by Alexa Grasso. But besides that, man, there's not a lot of tough or really well-rounded contenders or girls who have stood out in this division. I think Natalia Silva is the one to look for, you guys. So I'm going her by decision. Hedge, possibly, Viviane Araújo plus 1,400 by sub. I think that's the only way Natalia Silva loses this fight. All right, you guys. So, again, I'm not going to go over the other 2 cards. And, the other 2 fights, Alice Karab and Gilbert Urbina. There's really not enough information out there. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like and subscribe button for more UFC content, fight predictions, and betting tips. Good luck out there. Peace out, you guys.